Health and Wellness, brought to you by Brookside.
With lactose-free milk, you're still able to use this milk in your normal preparation of food. Whether you want to add it while cooking or you want to use it in your favorite cup of tea, chocolate, or coffee, you can still use lactose-free. It has the same great taste as any other whole milk.
Welcome to today's Health and Wellness show. As you can see, today we're outside and we are talking about golf. I'm learning how to play golf. Learning never stops, guys. And this particular episode has been sponsored by Brookside Plus, Live Life Plus. Today's topic is about golf and nutrition, especially for junior players. Stay tuned, but before that, take a look at this feature.
Golf is a game of focus, strength, and precision. But behind every powerful swing and every focused putt, there is something even more important: nutrition.
Third, with a total of 61, Seruni Ngotho.
On the 16th of July 2025, young golfers gathered at the Current Country Club for the Current Challenge Junior Golf Tournament, sponsored by Brookside. The event is not only about competition, but also about promoting health, discipline, and the right diet.
It's important because, if I take a lot of heavy food, I'll get tired when I'm swinging.
I think nutrition is very important as it can give you energy throughout the day to play.
For these young athletes, food is more than fuel. It is part of their training. Experts say balanced meals with the right nutrients are key to building endurance, agility, and mental alertness.
Before a game, I think the child needs to actually practice, they need to rest, and they also need to eat right. And so we do try and avoid the sugars, the carbohydrates, and we do give them fruits, and there are fruits even here.
Today I practiced Monday and Tuesday, and then I practiced this morning extra so that I could get this place.
Young golfers need a balanced mix of carbohydrates for energy, proteins for muscle recovery, vitamins and minerals for immunity, and yes, milk plays a big role.
The milk I take, I actually take Daily Fresh and Daily Fresh only because I really love Daily Fresh. And when my mom's making for me tea, she makes it with Brookside milk.
They do take milk and especially yogurt. They do take a lot of plain yogurt, a lot of Greek yogurt, and the probiotic yogurt that is available. And they're enjoying it, and especially the yogurts.
Milk is packed with calcium for strong bones, protein for muscle development, and vitamins that help with growth. Brookside Plus with vitamins A and D are ideal for young golfers, offering a delicious energy-boosting drink before or after the game. What should young golfers eat? A nutritious breakfast with whole grains, eggs, fruits, and milk. Light snacks like nuts or bananas during the game are also encouraged, and afterwards, a meal with lean proteins, veggies, and more hydration.
During the game, I eat bananas, juice.
If they are eating the wrong stuff and it's doing the wrong stuff to their bodies, it basically affects their performance. And their performance is based not just on practice, but also on their dietary intake.
Experts warn that junk food, sugary snacks, and energy drinks offer quick spikes, but they can lead to crashes. Instead, natural foods and hydration are key, and to achieve this, personal discipline is very important.
Have a light breakfast, because then during you have your halfway. But when you're having halfway, I say you don't take a lot to fool yourself because it might also affect how you play. And then after, you can eat whatever you want.
Brookside's sponsorship of the tournament isn't just about sport. It's a statement on the role of good nutrition in raising strong, healthy champions.
So we ensure that we listen to you and we come up with products that are relevant to your day-to-day needs. And the last thing is around nutrition. We ensure that we fuel your nutrition so that you guys, as you go to play your games out there, you're able to swing as hard as you can. So basically, yes, Brookside is here to support you. It's the first time we're partnering with Karen. We're really excited to do that. We're honored as Brookside team. I think we look forward to moving forward into the future with the Karen team. It's the first time we've done it. Looking forward to moving forward with you guys.
Behind every young golfer's dream lies a disciplined diet, a dedicated coach, and the right nutrition. Because in golf, just like in life, whatever you feed grows, and with the right fuel, champions are made. Chebet Birir, KTN, Nairobi.
Indeed, there's a very close connection between nutrition and physical activity, as you have seen from that feature. And today on set, we have a nutritionist, George Omolo, who is not a familiar face to you by now. Karibu sana, George. Thank you. We also have Charles Omanga, who is the vice captain of the current country club and is also the convener for young golfers. Karibu sana, Omanga, to the show.
Thank you very much.
And I want us to dive in directly to nutrition and golfing. When you talk about nutrition in golfers, George, what comes to mind and what is the most important aspect to pick?
Okay, nutrition is very paramount for young golfers, in fact, even young athletes, because it helps to, optimize their bone strength, which is very important for golfers. So we are looking at all the nutrients that will help that are very essential in development of their bones and making them be able to play for long term and also recover post-exercise.
All right.
Yeah.
We'll talk about before, during, and after the game. But Omanga is very well familiar with these golfers, especially the junior ones. Just tell me, how does nutrition come in when it comes to these junior golfers?
Thank you. As you're aware, a golf session can be 3, maybe 4 hours, depending on the age of the junior. And that then requires them to actually keep a significant amount of concentration during the session. That concentration comes from eating right and balancing the physical exertion with concentration and the game to actually go.
And before we continue, Charles, I know many of us will confuse the role between convener and coach. So please explain to us, what is your role as a convener for junior golfers?
So I'm the junior convener for Karen Country Club, which means that I look after the entire junior section. And that junior section includes the coaching element. It has the coaching element, it has the competition element, it has the training element. It also has our responsibility, obviously, in ensuring that the kids eat right and have the right energy knowledge when they're here.
And what inspired you to take up this role for the juniors? You have the choice of being a convener for the adults, but what inspired you to be a convener for the junior golfers?
I think, firstly, it's a club appointed role, but also I've been involved with the junior section of the club for a long time. I have a son who plays, and I think that's probably where it initially came from.
All right. And George, let's now talk about the before, during, and after. And we're going to talk, I know we are focusing on juniors, but we're also going to see how nutrition plays as the golfer grows, as the golfer ages. Does nutrition change? But let's start with, as a junior player, what can a golfer eat before the game, before the game?
Okay, I think it's also good to note that nutrition is very important. I will see when I talk about nutrition and the fact that you mentioned vitamin D and calcium. The golfer or any athlete for that matter, you have to take up diversified kinds of foods. So you have your energy sources have to be right. You have to have your proteins, your fats, and you have to be well hydrated. But then much focus is given on calcium and vitamin D because this one helps to strengthen the bone health. But also if you look at the fact that there's a lot of deficiency in vitamin D, it's very easy to be deficient of vitamin D and also very easy to be deficient in calcium. And see, if you look at the kind of game like golf, where there's a lot of repetitive loading and there's a lot of see the way they play, there's a lot of effect on the spine, on the spinal,
yes,
and the lower limb. So we need a lot of like I said again, calcium and vitamin D, so to be able to supplement that part.
Okay.
Yeah, and if you look at, for example, why you are doing this, because we want to minimize fractures, which it's prone to happen during the game, and also muscle injuries that may happen during the game. So you want to minimize that. So we want to make sure the golfer takes a lot of calcium, vitamin D rich foods. There are plenty. We can give them a lot of examples. And even when we talk about hydration, I think we can focus on milk as being a good source to hydrate, but also being a good source of calcium and vitamin D, and things like phosphates, magnesium, vitamin K, zinc, which are also very optimal. Yeah.
Thank you for mentioning milk. And before I forget, this show is sponsored by Brookside Plus, Live Life Plus. All right. Omanga, have you heard cases of junior players having deficiency in terms of calcium and vitamin D and other nutrients and nutrients? Sorry about that. And what do you do about it when you realize that a player needs to eat certain nutrients better?
One of the things that we are constantly emphasizing with juniors, especially when they come to the club and they're competing, is to ensure that actually they hydrate, number one, and number two, that they've had a proper meal before, and not just 10 minutes before, but actually 30 minutes before they actually play their round of golf. We often notice, because we are tracking all our juniors here at KTN, we often notice an aberration in the scores. And that sometimes is, as I'd mentioned earlier, because of lack of concentration. So you'll find the mistakes are a lot more, and you'll find that the player is arriving maybe at the halfway point or at the finishing point, quite tired. One of the things that we are aware as golfers is that dehydration happens. If you feel thirsty, it's already too late. It had happened 20 minutes ago. Yeah. So we're constantly telling the kids after every hole, take a sip of water, take a sip of milk, whatever is giving you that extra boost. But consistently do it over the session.
Okay. And do you have wellness, structured wellness programs in terms of mental health and physical health for the junior golfers?
Absolutely. At the club here, we have a few parents, particularly one associated with junior golf Asif Sheikh, who is a mental health fitness. But interestingly enough, it's the nutrition and what he does to make the juniors mentally stronger are very, very, very correlated. So he's actually also encouraging those that he sees to go to the gym. And if you're in the gym, then you actually also are now you're actually now getting into what have you eaten, what not to eat. Don't eat fatty foods before you come in. Sorry for a session. So at the club, we do have an expert that's actually guiding the program, and he actually sits on the junior golf committee here.
Thank you so much. And speaking of what to eat and what not to eat, George, please tell us, what are some of the foods that golfers should eat and what should they avoid in terms of nutrients from carbohydrates, proteins? Please tell us about it.
Okay, one of the most, of course, you have to have a very rich source of energy, because like golf also requires a lot of energy to play it. So energy dense foods are very important. Protein is also very important, because again, remember, these are young people, so you need to, they're still growing. So to take care of the growth spurts, you need enough adequate amount of protein. Your fat content also has to be good. It has to be, we call them healthy fats, not just any fat, but it has to be very healthy. Then, of course, hydration we've talked about. Then you have to have a complete micronutrient profile, because see, it's easy to have micronutrient deficiencies. And that's why we also encourage for the golfers or any young athlete to also take a lot of fortified foods, because of high risk of deficiencies of vitamin D, like I said. So fortified foods are very good. We have, for example, now we have fortified meals, I can say. You have vitamin D fortified meal.
Vitamin D and E.
Yes, and
vitamin D and
yeah,
E.
that's
So how important is that?
So like again, vitamin D being a very good founding block for bone formation and bone mineralization, it's very good. So for example, you find some people maybe lactose intolerant, so they cannot take milk. Then the fortified forms of nutrients will be very good.
And
Yeah.
Brookside also has soya milk and almond milk. If you're lactose intolerant, you can take that variety of milk. And George, also please tell us, what are the other foods that have vitamin D that a golfer can take?
Yeah. Okay. Before I take that, maybe I need to mention what they should not take.
What do they should not take?
Yes. So we are looking at they should not consume processed foods, which is highly not recommended. We are looking at foods which have high concentration of phosphates, like sodas, are not very good for golfers. We are looking at things like caffeine, which also will affect calcium absorption, also not very good for golfers. Yeah. So if you look at vitamin D sources, we are talking of dairy products. We have milk, cheese, yogurt. Those are very good. We're looking at the small fish like omena, has a very rich source of calcium.
Okay.
Yeah, we are looking at things like green leafy vegetables, also very rich in calcium. So those are nutrients that they can use. They can have them in their meal plan. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, George. We'll come to vitamin D foods, but let's engage Charles in terms of discipline. I know discipline is a very important thing when it comes to sports and especially golf. So have you had cases of junior golfers taking foods that they are not supposed to take? And what do you do about it?
Food isn't necessarily
A
disciplinary issue on
yes.
golf course. But for instance, we are actively now when we sought Brookside as a sponsor, and their scene came back as food and nutrition. We welcomed it specifically because obviously there's a message for the juniors here at the club who have actually played in a tournament and those in the program. The discipline around those golfers and those golfers who particularly probably have participated and won here today is actually a self-discipline. And so we are getting to the juniors directly, but we're also getting through to their parents. As we mentioned a little bit earlier, we got an expert in mental health, mental strength, and nutrition here at the club. And so it's something that we're taking quite seriously. And that athlete who is looking to excel in the golf game, maybe looking to get a scholarship, maybe looking to further their golf game, you'll inevitably find that they start to get their discipline around everything around golf, which also includes what they're actually taking, their intake and
Okay. George, what does it take to have a comprehensive, balanced diet in terms of carbohydrates, vitamins, proteins? I know, Charles, you do free training for the kids. I don't know what backgrounds they come from, and will tell us about that. But please talk to us about some of the foods from vitamin D, just the specific foods that these children need to take.
Okay. Vitamin rich sources food, for example, there are milk products, like you said, very rich in vitamin D and also calcium. We are also looking at things like fish, fatty fish, very rich, good source. We, like I said, also green leafy vegetables, legumes, another very good source. Seeds, a very good source. So all this they at least can use. But also I think it's important also to mention that the recommended daily intake is also very important, because again, just consuming but not meeting your needs, you may be consuming blankets that may not serve you at the end of the day. So for example, when you talk about energy, someone who's a golfer or as an athlete, there's a level in which you are supposed to take. If you're a golfer, an athlete was supposed to consume at least 10 to 20% more than the ordinary person. So we are talking about 1,800, 2,000 kilocalories per day for a golfer. So what to make sure that all the foods you're eating that are energy dense, we calculate that in the day, you're able to consume at least 1,800 kilocalories. If you look at protein also, you're supposed to consume about 1.2 to 1.5 gram per kg body weight per day. So all the sources that I'll give you, we have lean proteins. At the end of the day, we make sure that you have consumed this much so that you achieve what you need to maintain, your activity as a golfer or a young athlete.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, George. And Charles, you do free training for these juniors all year round. Please tell us about it and what criteria you use to convene these junior golfers.
Okay, so in the beginning of 2024, which is 1.5 years, club made a deliberate decision to have all juniors at the club trained low cost under the current juniors development program. So that program takes juniors of all ages.
From what age?
And today, well, in the program, we have a child as young as 4.
Mhm.
Competing today, the youngest child is 5 years.
Awesome.
And so inevitably, we've got the grassroots program, which is what we call a level 1 to 3. Once they progress with the basics, they go to the second level, which we call intermediate, 4 to 6, and under which they are actually being shown the different subject skills. And then as they graduate from 4 to 6, they get their handicaps and move to level 8. And at level 8, that child or that junior is probably playing a handicap of roughly around 20. In addition to that, then out of this program, we always get what we call those who shines, and those that we hate to use the phrase, but those who are more or less elite for their age, not elite in the sport, but for their age.
For their age.
And right now we developed a special program at the club. Right now we have 12 of them, and those 12 are undergoing an elite program where they actually have use of the simulator equipment and machinery that is across the club, run by one of the coaches called Saidi Haj.
Okay.
In addition, we make them enter competitions, we make them return those scores, and attendance and discipline at that level is extremely key. And if they fall off the program.
Okay. Thank you, Charles. I know as a parent, I'm also a parent, there's a very important aspect of starting the children young, not just in terms of sports, but also nutrition. And we come to you on that. Somebody like Tiger Woods started playing golf at the age of 2. And by the age of 3, he was on TV. So you can see how that impacted his life as a golfer. He became a world-renowned golfer. But George, tell us, how does it change? Do dietary requirements change as a golfer grows?
Yeah, dietary requirements change, and I think it's also good to mention that optimal bone mineralization during childhood and adolescence it establishes what we call peak bone mass, which is very important because as you go by, then it strengthens your bone and also reduces your chances of fractures. And that's why we say that osteoporosis is not actually an elderly disease; it's a disease that begins from the childhood. Because if you get if you get osteoporosis when you're older, it means during your formative ages something never went right. Something went wrong.
Diet or
Diet, of course.
physical health.
We are talking about that, and it's basically about vitamin D and calcium. What you were deficient at that time, and so the keen focus was not taken to supplement that. So you see, it grows by time. So that, of course, is important. And in fact, if you look at the vitamin D requirements at the formative years of 19 to 8 years, is actually high. You are talking about 1,000 milligram a day. That's very high. And why is it high? Because it's growth spurt, they're growing. So they tend to utilize a lot of vitamin D at that stage. So yes, so when they're formative years, you need more of that because it's growth spurt. Again, their bone is developing, and when the bone is developing, you are considering bone, strength, density, things like those. So the intake, of course, increases during the formative years.
Okay. I want to also ask about hydration.
Yes.
Does milk supplement water when maybe the golfer is during the game? Can they take milk and ignore water, or can they take water alone and ignore the milk? I know we are talking about Brookside here, but can it supplement water?
Well, you can use it, but not as not as an alternative. Let me put it that way, because water is also very important. But milk, at the same time, also has the electrolytes which are found in water. So you're able to, still is going to balance the fluid electric balance that you need. So you can take water, that's fine, because it's the natural source that has all these electrolytes. But also milk comes with that extra advantage because it has calcium, it has proteins. Some of them have been fortified with fiber and things like those. So milk comes in an extra advantage. So the golfer can use it to hydrate, before or after the exercise. They still get what they get with water, but something extra like protein, calcium, vitamin D, and all these things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, George. Charles, let's talk about the health and education and games for the children. Do they have challenges when it comes to balancing their health, their education, and the game, the golf?
I would say from the kids that you'll see, the juniors that you'll see here, we've not had any challenges with respect to their health. The occasional cancellations are there, flu-related, etc., but not necessarily long-term care issues.
Okay.
I would also say that golf, contrary to a lot of expectation, requires a significant amount of discipline. And so we've had children who are selected to play a game, but the parent calls in and says that they actually have to study for an exam, and therefore they can't play. And those who are really, really passionate, and we have a number, we hear the parents saying this child woke up at 4 a.m. to study because they had to play their game at 8 o'clock. So you find you're building essentially juniors who are very cognizant that they need to have the balance, because once they're here for at least 4 hours. So they need to put in the extra work with schooling and the extracurricular activities over and above the 4 hours that they spend.
Okay. We'll come to you about how the game shapes life skills even as the golf endures. But George, tell us, do we have specific timings for food and nutrition for the golfers? I saw somewhere that the golfer should eat 2 hours prior to a game. Why is that? Can I eat 1 minute to the game? Can I have milk or food just before the game, or should I rest before the game as a golfer? After eating, that is.
There's a diet regimen for golfers, but athletes, general athletes, because you are supposed to eat before, of course, at the game, and of course after. And after is important because of the muscle recovery post the game. But before also is good so that you can consume rich dense food. I mean energy dense foods to give you the energy to sustain it during the play. Yeah, then of course after, because once the game is done, there will be issue of muscle aches and things like those. So you need to eat well, so that you are able to, your muscles can be able to recover faster post exercise. So there's a regimen for that post, during, and of course after.
After.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, George and Charles, for your insights. We're going to take a short break. And when we come back, we'll talk about how golf shapes the life skills of a golf player and also the future of golf in Kenya. Don't go away.
Health and wellness brought to you by Brookside.
With lactose-free milk, you're still able to use this milk in your normal preparation of food, whether you want to add it while cooking or you want to use it in your favorite cup of tea, chocolate, or coffee. You can still use lactose-free. It has the same great taste as any other whole milk.
Welcome back. If you just joined us, this is the Health and Wellness Show. My name is Chebet Birir, and on set, I am joined by George Omolo, who is a nutritionist, and Charles Omanga, who is the vice captain of the Current Country Club and also a convener for junior golf players. We are at the Current Country Club, and today we are talking about golf and nutrition. Before we went for a break, we were talking about the state of golf, and not the state of golf, but the foods that you need to eat before, during, and after the game. And now we want to talk about how golf shapes the life skills of a golfer. And Charles Omanga, who is a convener, knows better when it comes to that. So tell us, how does it play when it comes to life skills? You know, we've had cases of players or athletes along the way, you find they have scandals. So how does that come in play when you train these juniors, even as they grow up, how to maintain that discipline and life skills?
I think sport in general frames juniors into extremely disciplined and organized members of society later. But specific to goals, if you think about things that a golfer has to be before they play, they have to arrive and tee off at an exactly the same time. So the juniors themselves are aware that they have to arrive before, maybe warm up before, and stand at the tee box ready for their turn to go at least 10 minutes before time. many times these juniors are playing with strangers, so there is an etiquette that they must have, and those people that they're playing with are grown up. They could be middle aged, they could be old age, and so the golf game in itself has an etiquette around how it's played. So we are ensuring that also the junior is also extremely well mannered. It's a gentle lady and a gentleman is taught. You will find people complimenting each other on the course and congratulating and thanking each other for a game once it's done.
Okay.
And you'll find the juniors do that quite specific. It's also an extremely competitive sport, and it's a competition with self. So you'll find junior golfers are extremely competitive in everything that they do. You'll find that on average, these are extremely self-driven people because it's a hard sport and it's about self-improvement. Before you improve your score, you'll have to have done the work.
All right. Thank you for that. And George, please tell us, in terms of nutrition, there are certain foods that help to improve cognitive development and concentration during the game. What are some of those foods?
Okay. Like you mentioned, that golf really requires cognitive. You have to be very attentive and very active. And one of the nutrients that are very important for this is magnesium. Very good to improve cognitive ability. Yeah, so, and magnesium is available in green leafy vegetables as well. So, but to see what we are saying is that if you really want to achieve all this, you cannot choose one food over the other. The food has to be diversified in your plate. It has to be well balanced in your plate so that you just not achieve one aspect, but to achieve all the aspects of the food, because you need energy, you need to build your body. Remember, this is somebody who's growing, so you need to take care of the growth part. You need minerals as well for that. So basically, they need to consume everything as long as they meet their daily RDA, daily recommended allowance. Yeah.
Okay. Charles, have you had improvement in terms of cognitive development from golf? Because now the focus and the concentration during the game may also impact their concentration in school and grades. Have you had such cases?
Actually, the interesting thing is, you're right, a significant amount of concentration is required in a golf game. But for example, our mental wellness coach often sends good junior golfers to squash, because squash requires you to actually have reactionary speeds that are much faster than golf itself. So you'll find that a lot of juniors are mixing this golf with other sports that allow them to actually react to situations calmly, but also in the right way. As I'd mentioned, the level at which junior golf probably is, not just in Karen but nationally, is extremely competitive, and so schoolwork and grades and the ability to actually perform well are a critical area of development.
Okay. Thank you so much. George, what can you say about now as the golfer grows? What dietary requirements differ between maybe a 5-year-old golfer and a 60-year-old golfer? What should a 60-year-old take? Because we've talked about the younger ones. Let's say 40 and above. What nutritionary requirements, this is a tongue twister, does an old golfer require?
So, like we said, remember these are young people who are growing. So there's a high growth spurt. So their body is still developing. Their muscle system is still strengthening and developing. And they're also trying to adapt to physical injury, which is also very common in golf. So their energy needs may be much higher. Like I said, 1,800, 2,000 kilocalories per day. And that is actually far much more than any normal person will take. And so this is for someone who is we are talking between 9 to 18 years. That is during the adolescent age. Yeah. But someone, as they grow, then the energy levels may decline, because again, they'll not be as active as they were during their transformative years. If you look at protein, also needs may also go up, because this is the time that their body is growing. So we are talking about 1.5 to 2.1 gram per kg body weight of protein. That's quite a lot compared to ordinary person who consumes 0.8 grams per kg body weight. Yeah. So the requirements in the formative years, which I think majority of the players here, their needs may be much higher compared to somebody who's much older.
Much older.
Yeah.
Because
But-
they're growing.
Yeah, but also one
Okay.
thing I need to note is that,
Mm.
you know, if you look at vitamin D, which is one of the most crucial we are saying here, and we are calling vitamin D ascension vitamin, which means it's synthesized by the skin, and most of it you absorb from the sunshine. But sometimes the kind of sport we take may hinder that absorption. We are looking at those guys who partake in indoor games. Most of us are using a lot of sunscreens, which may affect, again, sunshine absorption to our skin. We are looking at skin pigmentation. Our skin colors are quite different, so again, that will affect. So you see, if you look at all, and of course, weather variations, if you look at all these factors, you will see it's very easy to be deficient of vitamin D. And this is something that this, as a golfer or as an athlete, you need.
You need.
And that's why we are saying then you need to consume, look at sources that are rich in vitamin D. If not, then look at foods that are fortified with vitamin D. All right. If not, then milk becomes a very good source because it has highest levels of calcium and vitamin D. Yeah. So we really have to concentrate on, like I said, vitamin D and calcium. But apart from that, there are other nutrients which are important. We have to look at phosphate. Phosphate is the second most abundant mineral in our body after calcium.
Which foods have phosphate?
Now, phosphate, we have things like nuts.
Things like?
Nuts
Nuts,
and
nuts.
seeds, yeah. So calcium is the most abundant in our body, of course found in teeth and bones. Phosphate becomes the second, also found in bones. But phosphate becomes tricky when you are consuming excess, and especially because it's found in soda beverage. Because in excess, again, will negatively impact the calcium balance. So you have to take it within your required RDA. Then you're looking at things like magnesium, which is also very important. Also 60% found in the bone. Then you're looking at, again, protein, which is also very important because remember, collagen, which is part of our bones, is a protein. So you also need good amounts of protein. And of
Okay.
course, hydration, which I think you've mentioned so much. Yeah.
All
So,
right.
yeah.
Thank you, George. And Charles, please tell us, what is the state of golf in the country at the moment?
I'll maybe specifically to junior golf.
To junior golf, yes.
Which I'm involved in. We have a total more than 110 junior golfers in our section, and that's growing,
Okay.
and that's without inviting other clubs to actually come and train here.
And you're talking about 110, but as they grow, do they maintain the sport, or do you have some of them drop out?
We have inevitably those who drop out and take other interests. On average, for some reason, girls drop out a little bit more than boys, but the spread here of the population of juniors is, for instance, even today, is we've got a 5-year-old and we've got an 18-year-old competing today, and each of the sections are foot up.
And okay. As we wrap up, you'll tell us on the opportunities and the future of junior golf in Kenya. But George, now we're talking about nutrition and golf, but please tell us generally the importance of nutrition and physical activity in children and as they grow. Because in Kenya, for example, we have about 4% of children who are obese. That means we are quite healthy. But of course, we cannot undermine the fact that children need to be physically active and eat well. Please tell us about that.
Yeah, good health begins when you're a child. Yeah, and that can be maintained throughout your, childhood, adolescence until your older ages. Cardiovascular diseases does attack us most of the time when you're in the old stages of our lives. But see, it begins when you are young, the kind of foods that you eat. And I know that our lifestyles and our foods have really changed because we are trying to cope up with the Western world, what we call nutrition transition. So most of us, a lot of our meals, we find a lot of processed foods, which again is contributing to the obese and all these cardiovascular diseases. So I think to be a major focus to relook at the kinds of foods we eat and try to go back to our traditional foods that we used to eat. And we are looking at foods that consist of vegetables. We are looking at food contained of healthy sources of carbohydrates, complex carbohydrates, which are very good, proteins, which are very good, and of course a lot of water. And avoid all these sugary beverages, which again are affecting us, processed foods, which again also affecting us, which again affect the life of an athlete. An athlete, those ones you don't want to play with. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, George, for your insight. And as we finish, Charles, please tell us what is the future of junior golf in Kenya?
It's very bright. I think mine is to encourage anybody who can, any juniors who can take up the sport to do so. I think there's the one thing is that it's a privilege to play, but it's also, as we've spoken about, giving life skills to juniors. It's providing opportunities with scholarships. It's providing kids with opportunities to actually travel around even courses in Nairobi and in Kenya, and to meet and to interact with other junior golfers more and more. We highly recommend any junior who can to play super.
Okay. And what criteria do you use to enroll these juniors?
We have no criteria.
You have no criteria?
You don't even need a golf clubs
Okay.
here. So we are fortunate in that some of our members have donated golf sets, and through budgeting we're able to provide golf balls and a range which is freely accessible for the golfers to actually play. So there's not
Okay.
a willing heart.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us on the show. George, your parting shot to parents, communities, the government in terms of nutrition, physical activity.
My parting shot for parents and guardians for young athletes, and in this case, young golfers, nutrition, they should relook nutrition from at that early age, because what the child takes at that moment will influence,
What they take as they grow up.
as they grow up, even their well-being as they grow up. And like I said, osteoporosis, long time ago we used to perceive it as an old man disease, but ideally it's a young man disease. It's a pediatric disease, begins when in a child.
Okay.
So when we make sure that the foods that our kids are taking are well supplemented, or the dietary intake they're taking has good source of vitamin D and calcium, I cannot emphasize that enough, because then it will keep you away from these bone diseases and osteoporosis. And in fact, for sports people, to make you more active. Yeah, so parents need to focus more on dietary sources, and if the dietary sources are not enough, then look at the if dietary sources are not enough, they can supplement. If they cannot supplement, they look at the fortified foods.
Okay.
We have foods which are fortified with vitamin D. Like I think we have a vitamin D fortified milk. We have foods that are fortified plant-based sources. So they can utilize that to make sure that their child nutrition is good from the formative age and will take them through to their old age.
All right. Thank you so much, George. Charles, just one final word. If I know there's someone at home who is watching and wondering, how do I bring my child to play golf? How can they reach you, or how can they come to the Current Country Club?
So first of all, the club is JGF has made golf accessible to all, juniors accessible to the game culture. So the child does not need to be a member here as long as they have a JGF card, and I believe
How do they get the card?
The JGF, they can go online or they can go to the JGF offices
Okay.
to register the child as a JGF member. That JGF membership, I believe, costs 1,000 shillings, and that gives the child access to any club in Kenya to be able to play, and also to be able to at least get the practice facilities, even though they're not being trained. Okay. So JGF has made junior golf very accessible.
All right. Thank you so much, George and Charles, for joining us on this very interesting topic on golf and nutrition. If you're tuned in from home, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for watching. And I hope you've been inspired, whether you're a seasoned golf player, whether you're a junior player. I hope you've been inspired, and I hope that you've learned something about nutrition and golfing. Remember that this show has been sponsored by Brookside Plus, Live Life Plus. My name is Chabet Birir, and see you again next week, God willing.